Welcome to Truth to Power. Truth to Power is a show that brings truth to power to every person that's in the viewing and listening audience. And we are very, very fortunate to be able to go and bring truth to power about a lot of critical issues that occur in and around the Detroit area. We are broadcasting live from WHPR TV 33 in Highland Park, Michigan. And some of you today may have been tuning in to go and hear a important senatorial debate that was going to be held here at WHPR. And that was a debate that was going to be, the participants were Hill Harper and Congresswoman Elissa Slotkin. And as you see, we're not going to sponsor that debate today, but we've got some important information to give to you next Friday from the president of WHPR, Mr. R.J. Watkins, who will give more details about what happened and why that debate did not manifest today. So definitely stay tuned next Friday, same time, same station, and we will give you more information about what happened and how the station really was disappointed that this debate could not manifest, because there's a lot of information that the viewers, the voters wanted to hear regarding the candidacy of both of those individuals and how they would bring the information from DC back to cities like Highland Park and others in the neighboring community. So again, next Friday, President R.J. Watkins of WHPR will address this platform and give you more details about why this debate did not come on. But we appreciate you tuning in today. And this is the little station that could. And this station wanted to make certain that the viewers, who are very important to WHPR, were able to have a voice in this matter. So again, tune in next Friday, and Mr. Watkins will address that issue in detail. Today, I've got a couple of very special guests that are going to be on the show, and one is Mr. Norman Clement, and the other is somebody that probably when you see her or you hear her name mentioned in Highland Park, you know automatically. This has got to be Miss Alexis Ramsey. So again, and I see that broad smile that popped up on Miss Ramsey's face, and you will recognize her from that smile. And then you'll also get a lot of good information that's always disseminated out from not only from Alexis, but also from Mr. Norman Clement. Mr. Clement, Ms. Ramsey, thank you for coming on Truth to Power today.
Good morning.
And let's delve a little bit deep into, this is an upcoming election that has changed the whole dynamic in the last couple of weeks. There was a lot of people that after the rally that President Biden had when he was at Renaissance High School, that the momentum was starting to shift, because there were people that thought that he could have done better at the debate a few weeks ago. He comes to Renaissance High School, he has a rally, and that rally was really letting people know, hey, I'm still in this race to win it. He fortified the people that were concerned about his age, about his stamina, and about just in terms of say that he was still in this race. But now then, we just saw recently there was a lot of demand that people were having, saying that they didn't think that he could win it. But he addressed the nation a couple of days ago and said, I'm endorsing my Vice President, Kamala Harris. And when he did that, There were donors that said, I'm for her. I'm supporting her. And as you both know, there was a move to where they got black men and black women a couple of days ago to donate millions of dollars to the Harris campaign. Let's address that in terms of say, what are you seeing now? I'll ask you, Norman, what are you seeing in terms of saying how the momentum has shifted, where the polls might have showed it might have been kind of a dead heat between Biden and Trump, but now you've got a Harris-Trump race. What are you seeing? What are you hearing in the community, especially in the black community, as to what people are saying now?
Thank you for having me here. What I hear is it went from, yeah, I know I got to vote, to, oh, I'm going to vote and I'm going to bring something with me. The momentum shift that happened Sunday afternoon was so seismic. That night, from 3 o'clock till like 3 o'clock that morning, I'm on the call with people, organizers, going on and saying, number one, we got to make this happen. Number two, we got to support her 1,000%. And the call with the women's organizations last night was so amazing that they raised that amount of dollars that fast. The following night, the men had a conversation with Roland Martin, Bakari Sellers. The brothers came out and supported her. Brothers came out for 1,000%. They raised over $1.3 million that night. Mm-hmm. And that shows the power of the black community, the dollars of the black community it has, and also the influence and the structure. There was an all-out mission right now to, number one, to get this woman to be the nominee, and also to assure all voters and know that everyone to fall in line. That momentum is out there right now. And now folks who are on the fence, who are asking now, I don't want to just vote for her. I want to work for the organization to get voted. I want to volunteer my time, and volunteer my dollars. I have never seen a turnaround like that ever in my life. It went from feeling like 2016-ish to 2008 all over again. And even a stronger 2008 over again. And that's what I'm feeling out. I talked to people yesterday from who are in homeless shelters, who are coming in the community. This momentum is all far reached out to even cracking guys who thought about supporting Trump. Now it's like, wait a minute, she's running. Oh, I got to support her, 100%.
Alexis?
Well, same thing. You know, I could just say ditto for what Norman really just said. Calls constantly. People are excited. They're ready to go, as they say, fired up, ready to go, right? The women's call that Sunday was amazing. We had like Dr. Brazil and a couple other people who were on the line. The women were able to raise $1.8 million that evening. I'm just excited that we have a younger candidate as well, right? So it's time for us to start moving this country forward in a different direction with younger people ideas, right? And she fits that demographic. So I'm looking forward to going out and talking with people. And I don't think we have a lot to do when it comes to pushing for Vice President Harris at this time, because people are just excited. We're ready to go. We're ready to go to the polls. We're ready to get on the ground and do the work. Just like Norman was saying, people are ready to volunteer, which is, very hard to do, right? If you're an organizer, it's hard to get people to come through the door and volunteer their time for free in this climate that we're in right now in this country. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to working with the Vice President and her team and ready to get this going. And just yesterday, I saw some polls. I think it was News Nation I was looking at. And they were showing that, it's a dead heat right now. Trump is 48. Vice President Harris is at 47. So we're really, like Norman also said, the turnaround has been amazing. To start an election in July, basically, and get ready for November, to see the movement, to see all of this happening, seeing the dollars that are coming, big donor dollars as well. We're also bringing in, that big celebrity piece, right? That was kind of dead at one point. We're excited, we're ready to go, and we're ready to support Vice President Harris and what she's trying to do for our country.
Well, it's so interesting because and I'm gonna address this to you, Alexis, being female. There were a lot of people that were saying that back when Hillary was running, back when Shirley Chisholm was running,
Mhm.
is the nation ready for a female president? And then also, is the nation ready for a black female president? Because we know, like you were saying before, in addressing the race, back when President Obama ran, were we ready for a black president?
Mhm.
Now, he's broken that myth that
Mhm.
yes, we are ready.
Mhm.
But now here we've got a black female
Mhm.
potential president.
Mhm.
And the nation is saying, are we ready for a black female? That myth is being dispelled as well, especially with like what you were just saying, Alexis,
Mhm.
with the numbers being so close
Mhm.
now, in the race. And let's talk a little bit about what were some of the things that people were saying about Biden when he was the candidate versus now that here Kamala Harris
Mhm.
is the presidential candidate.
Mhm.
That people were saying about age, they may have been talking about cognitive issues
Mhm.
and some of the other things that were that went on during the Biden
Mhm.
presidency.
Mhm.
To now here you've got a shift, and the Republicans don't know how to handle this shift, or do they know how to handle this shift?
Well, Republicans fall in line and Democrats fall in love. Let's just make so. I'm not gonna say I don't. We don't know right now which way what we do know, right? Sort of, kind of, but we really don't know which way the messaging is actually going to go right now with the Republican Party.
Okay.
But so to answer your question, which is what?
Basically, now are we ready for that
Woman.
female?
I think we are, and I think it takes the right female candidate. And no, nothing against
Shirley
Hillary-
Chisholm or Hillary
or
Clinton
Hillary
or
Clinton,
anybody
right?
else that ran.
Right, but nothing against most like recent race, right, which
Mhm.
was Hillary Clinton. Nothing against her, but she just, to me, she wasn't the right candidate for the country at the time, right? We're coming off of a past Trump presidency, right? We're coming off of a Biden-Harris current presidency, and I think right now the country is ready for something new, and to try something new, pretty much. And I believe that Vice President Harris is that candidate that can unite the nation, right? We're so divided right now. Race is always going to play a role because we live in the United States of America, right? That's the forefront of anything here in this country is race. But to answer your question, do I think we're ready for a female president? Yes. And do I think we're ready for a black female president? Yes. My concern is who her running mate may possibly be. And I think that's going to really determine where we're going to go as a party on who she ultimately ends up choosing as her running mate. So we need to wait on that as well. And I think the messaging from the Republican Party will go from that point forward. So.
Yep. The Republican Party is actually in a pickle.
Mm-hmm.
I think that their strategy was to Biden's record. His record was impeccable. Coming out of the COVID situation that Trump administration made, recovery, we're back outside. Interest rates did go high, but now they're coming down low. So their goal was pretty much to ride this wave of Biden being old, what's going on in Gaza, what's going on in Ukraine, coming into that office and take credit. Their message was designed to beat Biden. The issue is that once they named, I think two things happened. They thought that J.D. Vance was also going to be on that right-wing side that will do everything with Trump. So there'll be a puppet for Trump because as we saw the former how he talked about Trump prior to, he was an anti-Trump guy. Then all of a sudden he falls in line. And so they don't have a position. And so Trump wanted someone to do what he says. Now, when you have a situation, you have a better candidate on the other side. And not saying that Biden was not a good candidate. It was just time comes to all. You get the age limit, you start getting seasoned a little bit, and then it affects you on the campaign trail. And the thing is that with her stepping in, number one, she's a great debater. Mm-hmm. She knows her facts. She knows her history. She's a woman, but she's worked for everything she's got. As Attorney General, she got the highest votes ever in history in California for Attorney General votes as Attorney General. Then she won the U.S. Senate in California. California is probably the highest gross population, the highest income population in the world, probably 5th.
Mhm.
And so for her to navigate those things, they're in a situation where they can't compete with her because number one, he's not going to try to debate her. Number two, J.D. Vance, the person that they selected as the vice president, come to find out he has a plethora of issues. And the point of Republicans' tactics is always going to be attack race. Even to the point they attacked their own VP because no one knew who his wife was. And guess what? She's an Indian American. And the racist tropes that came out of the Republican convention to her, that shows that they are anti anything. And so you have an opportunity where you see a woman who's running for president of the United States of America. Also, the fact that other countries are getting more progressive and knocking back this right-wing wave. Mexico has a woman president for the first time ever. And so if I know Mexico, Catholic Mexico, can actually have a woman as a president, I know this country can. And so I think there's not more, I think they're craving for something new. They're craving for change. And I think Kamala Harris and whoever her running mate might be, to me, if it was up to me, I like Gretchen Whitmer. But I digress. But there's probably going to be Shapiro or Mark Kelly they're looking at is the high right now, or even Mark Cooper from North Carolina. And so there's going to be a balance, but I think that ticket will win because no matter what they put up, and it has to be key, as long as they follow her principles and follow the message of the party, I don't see Republicans going back at that because they can't grow their base anymore. And that's the problem with the MAGA Republicans.
Mhm.
Well, you know, and that's interesting that you brought it up about the debate because there's probably a big difference between the debate that Trump and Biden had compared to a potential debate that Harris and Trump could have.
Oh,
You know, because I see so many Facebook posts that people put up that picture of the prosecutor versus the person that, you know, they're saying the words, a word that starts with an F and saying in terms of say about what he was, you know, convicted of.
right.
But the thing is that they're putting a lot of emphasis on she can handle herself during a debate. That if Trump
a great
wants to
debater.
do something like what he did with Hillary and walk around the stage when he kind of, you know, looked like he was walking around behind Hillary during that debate, I think that Kamala Harris could handle herself because just as you just said, Alexis,
Mhm.
she's a great debater.
Mhm.
She's a prosecutor
Mhm.
and she knows how to address issues, especially in a court of law, in front of hundreds of people that may be watching, and as an attorney general, the same thing.
Mhm.
So that's going to be a real critical debate if the debate jumps off.
I think it has to jump off because number one, she understand this as if she could debate in front of thousands or within those rooms they could confine where nobody's there. Because with her wit, her intelligence, she will catch every lie that he says. He's going to lie. And the second thing is that the messaging is already out there between prosecutor versus the other word. But they're saying he's not treated as the other word, as normal other words, or somebody who's been through the system who looks like me or you.
Mm-hmm.
We would never be there. We would never. Matter of fact, we wouldn't have made. It wouldn't have took a year for us to get prosecuted and charged. It would probably take us 20 hours.
Mhm.
And so he is not treated. The message where they treat me like they treat you. No. You get way more leeway than anybody else who's committing any crimes in the history of the world. I have not seen it where you have committed a crime, been an insurrection, and get a 2-year reprieve before you get charged. That will never happen in any other country, except for this country and who you are. And then also that plays to your whiteness. And so the messaging is on there. They're working on that right now. Is out there on Facebook and Twitter about, wait a minute, he's not like you guys. He's not identified as you. And so That's the quickness of the campaign, which is everybody's excited. Like, God, great, we got a fighter. Finally, we got somebody fighting, and that's what I'm excited about that.
Go ahead.
Well, I think the thing is that when you look and see the fight that Harris brings to this campaign, it's really energized
Mm-hmm.
the voters. It's really energized the people that were on the fence,
Mm-hmm.
that may have been saying, my vote doesn't matter, or thinking in terms of say that, well, I'll sit this one out. People are really engaged, and especially the young black men that were kind of hedging their vote when Biden was the nominee. And now the question is that they're saying she is a fighter. She is somebody that we want to get behind. And because of the momentum that she brings to the campaign, I think you're going to see an upswing of black men getting out to vote. So whereas there was concern about our black men going to get out to vote when Biden was the nominee, now I think that you're going to get, especially a lot of black women are going to be saying, hey, telling black men, y'all need to get out there and vote too, because we know this is important. And we know here in the city of Detroit, there's a lot of people concerned about, especially how many supporters of the Democratic Party. The votes have been roughly averaging of the registered voters in the city of Detroit. It's been a terrible number.
13%.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And
11 and
we
13.
can't win
Mm-hmm.
with that number.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing, too, is that we got a primary coming up, as we know, on August the 6th. And we definitely need to get all hands on deck for this primary.
Mm-hmm.
But the question is that what do we do, because the presidential election is not going to be until November. But now we've got a lot of candidates that are depending on the support August the 6th to be able to make it to the general election. And the thing that I'm starting to see is that people are saying they would welcome Harris to come into Michigan, into their cities, and help to support their candidacy for state rep, state senate, Congress, as well as even in the senatorial race. So what do you both see in terms of with that part about the importance of having Harris to come? And then one of the good things that I saw this morning was that I heard when I was coming in the fact that President Barack Obama and Michelle are supporting Vice President Kamala Harris.
They came out and endorsed, or that they're going to?
They came out and
Endorsed.
they had
Oh,
that they
did
were
this morning?
endorsing
Okay.
her,
Oh,
you know,
that's awesome.
and they showed the video of her taking the call
Mm-hmm.
from them, and you could hear him on speakerphone
Okay.
saying they were honored. Michelle and he
Mhm.
were honored to go and give her their full endorsement, for this candidacy.
Absolutely. Well, just kind of to back up what we were talking about as far as bringing in new voters, right? I think our focus is Gen Z, right?
Yeah.
And we finally have Gen Z excited about at least hearing from.
And for the few people that don't know, Gen Z is what age group?
Gen Z is you're 18, I think, what is it, 18 to 25,
25,
5-ish,
26.
26-ish. Yeah, so you have that group of young people who were going to sit out the race, right? Or vote for Trump, let's call it what it is. And they're now excited and saying, hey, you know what? We have a candidate that we can get behind. We have somebody that we're willing to at least go out and listen to. And if you can get the young people, 18 to 25, 26, to get excited about a candidate and actually come out and say, hey, I'm willing to support, I'm willing to knock doors, I'm willing to, make phone calls, then we're going somewhere with this, right? So again, I'm excited to see where this campaign is going, the direction that the campaign is going. I'm excited about down ballot. I think it is very important, right, to bring in the vice president and all surrogates that may want to come to Michigan right now, because we do have a critical primary here.
Mm-hmm.
But I want us to all continue to focus on the general, right? Because again, that's where we decide if we're going to keep the House and the Senate, rather it's in the state or rather it's national. And so right now, I was concerned, and I had said this in a few conversations, had the candidate remained President Joe Biden, I was worried about what does down ticket look like.
Mm-hmm.
But now that we have a great candidate at the top of the ticket, looking forward to nominating her in August for the DNC convention and making it official. But where I'm going with this is that we definitely need to focus on down ballot voting and ensuring, and I think with a strong candidate like Kamala, this is where I'm going, with a strong candidate like Kamala, then Vice President Harris, with a strong candidate like her, I think that we may have the opportunity to still hold on to the House and even regain the Senate. So that's where I'm going with this.
And I think we're going to come back to that because that's a very important issue.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to take a break, and when we come back, let's address that in terms of say about the House and the Senate and
Mm-hmm.
why it's important to be able to go and have a president
Mm-hmm.
that's going to be able to work with her Senate and House.
Absolutely.
We'll come back in a few minutes to Truth to Power. So stay tuned with Alexis Ramsey and Norman Clement.
Your radio is now on TV. Your TV is now on radio. WHPR 88.1 FM can now be heard and seen worldwide. The same platform that hosts all of your favorite content now has WHPR TV and radio. Have your own radio or TV show on Roku with approximately 8 million homes. Debut your music video, clothing line, church ministry, plays, or products. A limited number of slots are available, so act now. For more information, visit RokuDetroit.com or call 313-868-6612. You heard about it. Now come be a part of it. Roku Detroit Worldwide. Approximately 8 million viewers. Have you ever wanted your own TV show? Have you dreamed of showcasing your talent for the world to see? Well, now you can. Have your own TV show. You can have your own 30-minute show. Not only will you be seen in the Detroit area, but you can be viewed worldwide. For more information, call 313-868-6612. Visit our studios and receive a free TV interview to promote your business, church, or organization by appointment only.
Feel good about your future with tuition-free programs at Wayne County Community College District. Whether you want to be in healthcare, computer science, the culinary arts, digital media, or robotics and automation for the next generation of vehicles, WCCCD has you covered. A full range of programs to achieve your goals, fit your schedule, and give you all the support you need to be successful. All of it tuition-free. Now there's something to feel good about. Register today at wccccd.edu.
And welcome back to Truth to Power. And I am your host, Darwin Griffin, and I am very pleased to have my two in-studio guests, Ms. Alexis Ramsey and Mr. Norman Clement. And we just wanted to talk this time about the House and the Senate. And we know just how important the House and the Senate are when it comes to a president who's trying to get bills passed. And I guess let's just give a quick little civics lesson, in terms of say about the House and about the Senate, in terms of say, why is it important that the president has a House and a Senate that represents his or her party? Norman.
Yes, the reason why it's so important is because if you have all three houses, you have the presidency, you have the Senate controlled by one party, and the House controlled by one party, then you can make a lot of things happen. You can have laws, and you can push legislation, initiatives. Also, you can get support to those community members, to cities. When the first year when Biden had all three houses, during COVID, that's how we were able to pass the CARES Act, which came to a supplemental income, unfortunately for 1 year. But we were able to get that supplemental income going on for tax dollars that people got. Those stimulus checks, not the ones during Trump's last year, but those were pushed by Nancy Pelosi. Those are one-time checks, where during Biden's you have a monthly income check that were going to the folks every single day. And folks thought that was Trump, but that was actually under the Biden administration. And then also have it where you have a supportive Senate where you can have senators that are willing to pass, to really go out and break the filibusters, because the old filibuster, you had to have 60 people support it to go through. But you have a seat power in your side that you can break that filibuster or change the filibuster rules so you get legislation passed. That's important. That's what we have as far as the U.S. Senate back then. We don't have it now because the Democrats don't control the House. But you do have that in Michigan, where you have a governor, you have the state Senate, and the state legislation, which a trifecta that we did not have in 40 years. And as people know, she came and said she's going to fix the roads.
Fix the damn roads.
Fix the damn roads.
Yeah.
And then she fixed the damn roads, and damn it, she's fixing it again.
There you go.
So all that legislation is going to parks, more money going for education services. So it's important that the leadership at the top has supporter allies around them to really make stuff happen. And, that's what's important right now. We see the momentum trickling down to those state House, state Senate races. We're talking about, and also congressional races, which right now, critical, but it looks like some races that, as of yesterday, they're getting hot. I can see 10. I can see going against John James, that race is going on, but also our own District 13 is getting to be a very, very interesting hot race now.
Where the
incumbent is Sharif Tanadar,
right.
And then there were two people that were running against him. I guess unfortunately one came off the ballot, but now Mary Waters, Councilman Mary Waters, who's on the ballot, has a real legit chance now with the momentum coming in to really challenge Tanadar and really win that race. And so it's the person at the top of the ticket that inspires everything really, really, really matters. And I tell folks all the time, the message is, well, the president doesn't matter, local really matters. No, they all matter. To your community, all of it matters, and we have to start acting as such. And yeah, man, like I said, I'm excited. I'm an organizer by trade. So this right here is such a momentum shift that folks got to know what's going on. Even city council, even down to school board races are getting contested now because everybody's jumping in. Everybody's excited about who's running, who's supporting. Judges, all that's being looked at. And then I got to say one thing with the BET Awards with Taraji P. Henson, when she mentioned 2025, and look it up, it skyrocketed amongst the Black community. And
about Project 25.
Project 2025. This is also a thing that people are so motivated for not to see Jim. And 2025 is nothing but Jim Crow. They don't want to see Jim Crow happen. And so the motivation on that top of the ticket, That's what this driving force is here right now. We got to make it happen. So that tidbit, I definitely got to throw it out there.
Well, that's something that we're going to talk about, at the latter part
Right.
of the show. But you brought a good point up when you said in terms of say about here, even going down to like the school board races. And I know Alexis, as you know, having been a former president of the Highland Park School Board, you know how important an election like that would
And let's
be.
just make this very clear. When I was school board president, I was the president that helped get us out of emergency management and move us on a trajectory of moving the school district forward. So let's put that out there.
Well, we'll give you that. Give you that little tidbit that you can go ahead
Right,
and
right.
that
Let's just
part
make
right.
sure you know.
Yeah.
But
My
how
tenure.
important is that then, Alexis? As you know, having been school board president, how important is that to make certain that people get out and support school board candidates?
Oh, absolutely. Every race that's on the ballot is an important race. School board is so important because at the end of the day, these are the people that are making decisions for your children, right? And how your children are educated, how
Your
they're going to
legacy.
move. Right, your legacy. What kind of wraparound services do we have? As far as what curriculum are we using? Making sure you have qualified teachers in the classroom, making sure that you have aides as well to support those teachers in the classroom. Making sure that you're finding wonderful programming, right, for the children, and also making sure that you're including all children, right, where some of our children we know have special needs, but they need to be integrated with the rest of the children. They shouldn't be left behind, right? So the school board is one of your most important races on the ballot to me, because again, it's our future that are in the hands of the people who are making these decisions. So that's why school board, to me, is very important. The whole thing about moving our future and ensuring that our children are successful, right? And just had a conversation yesterday, if we're going to get kind of into the whole school thing of how right now we're not pushing vocational training, right? We're not doing that, especially in the African American community. And even when you look at Ferndale and other school districts, they cap how many children are allowed to go to vocational training. So right now, just out of Ferndale, depending on the class, it's about 30 children. And I'm not just talking about from Ferndale, I'm talking about Ferndale, Madison Heights, Warren area, right? You have about 30 children from out of all of those districts who are attending vocational training. And I think right now that should be the focus. We need to bring vocational training back to the schools. Not everyone is college bound. Not everyone, and I think what happens is as well, we forget to say, hey, an electrician, right? An electrician, you can go out, you can make over $100,000 a year with that certification. As a pipe fitter, as a cosmetologist, let's talk about auto body, right? And being able to fix a dent, right? In a vehicle, right? So those simple things where you can actually go out and be a success. Right. So I think we got to begin to stop pushing so much and saying, hey, if you don't get a degree, then you won't be successful. There are so many jobs out here for our children, and our young people. Right. And we don't have to continue just to put them in that box. We need to start listening to them. And again, we need to bring that funding back. We need to open up our Go Lightleads and our Bright Offs and those type of things that we had. You had culinary arts. Right. So in those fields, so again, we have 3 big casinos here, right? So of course, culinary arts going into the hospitality management, which is my background, originally was hospitality management. So again, vocational training, school boards are important, and those are our babies, right? And that's our future. Those are the people. Nursing. Let me not forget about nursing. That's another important vocational training. And then I also think in schools, we need to start focusing on that extended learning and education where our children can leave high school with an associate's degree, right? Do
Yes,
that extra
absolutely.
year, right? Do that extra 16 months or whatever it may take you, and making sure you're leaving out with that associate's degree. So now you can further your education, rather you choose to go to a WC3 or something along a community college and or university. So school board is one of our most important races. Our babies are on the line, and that's what we need to do.
Well, it's so interesting. I'm just going to say this, and I'll probably let you interject. it's interesting because you've really given a real serious platform for why people should not miss any vote on the ballot.
Absolutely.
Because as you both have expressed too, it's really important because the future, Kamala Harris's, Barack Obama's, Ronald Reagan's, Donald Trump's, come from the young people that are in school.
Absolutely.
And just as you both have said, everybody may not be destined to go into particular occupations, but they have the choice. Culinary arts, nursing, electricians, carpenters, you know, so in auto body repair people, you know, auto mechanics.
Absolutely.
So the critical thing is that the school board, judges, all these other races that are going on during the primary are important. So the main thing in the common denominator, and I'll let you interject, Norman, is that it's important to do what? Get out and vote.
But can I
Go ahead,
just
go
real
ahead,
quick,
no problem.
Norman? I'm sorry, but what I'm going to say this, but we also have to remember that you actually have to fill in a bubble on the ballot
Absolutely.
for those races. And again, a lot of times that's where voter education comes in, right? So we need to educate the people and say, yeah, just because you may hit that top bubble, right, to
Right.
vote for the top of the ticket, you actually have to go down, flip your ballot over, whatever it is, depending on where you are and what city you live in, to actually vote for your judges, to vote for your school board, to vote on those millages that may affect you and affect your taxes, right? So again, the whole entire ballot is important, but after you, Norman, I do want to go back to the judges race, right? Because I think a lot of times we forget that these are the people that we have to go, if you get in trouble, those are the people you have to go in front of, right? And we forget that, you know, we need more people that look like us on the bench, right? Because, again, I'm going to stop right there. You go ahead and jump in. But
I mean, Alexis, you hitting on all cylinders on that. And then it's so important because with the new technology of AI and what's going on now, as we saw what happened over this weekend when millions of people couldn't fly home.
Me being one of them.
Me being one of them. Hey, also, I got hits also. And so the thing about that is that the biggest infrastructure boost that happened under a Biden administration, as we see outside in those streets in the community, are infrastructure. We have pipes that have been in the ground since the 1920s. You got to have people with hands do pipe fitters. We got to have more electrical infrastructure because guess what? These old wires have been here for years. We have to change those wires out because guess what? Solar power technology. We have new fusion. It may be coming on board any second. And so the way that we power the planet, the way we move is totally different now. And so these are something that we can, as the Black community, especially our children, can't go graduate from college in something that they want to work with their hands. And the industry that can make them multi-millionaires or give them middle class or upper class by working with their hands, we can't miss out on that. And there shouldn't be a cap on how many students go to Voltech, because when I was in school, Crockett was a Voltech school, Golightly was a Voltech school, because people had the choice to say, hey, I could go to college and make money at the same time. I could go to college. I know many people who went to college and there was that one barber, a good barber on campus, and they made their side money. That's all they paid for school. And so, and also too, let's be honest, I've been to college, graduated from college in a totally different field than what I'm doing now.
Absolutely. Same here.
And so that happens all the time. So we definitely need to give our kids abundant of options that are out there, especially when the funding is in place for it. And as you talked about ballot education and everything, that is so important because I can remember in 2022 where 15,000 ballots were thrown out because people did not know how to fill out a bubble. Or many votes went uncast because they didn't flip over the back. That is something that definitely needs to educate people on. Just don't put your personal name on there or cuss somebody out by who you voted for. You need to put the bubble in, and that's it. That's all you need. And that's something that you touched upon. And especially these judges, and I tell folks, there's so many programs and Warren clinics that are happening. Find out who's the judge that's working on that Warren clinic to get your or expungement and working on you to get your stuff, your life together, and find out who the judges don't do that. If they're not doing that, or that judge not there and he on the ballot, wait a minute, he's not for me. And that's where you go to ballot education with the judge, because a lot of times I get caught flat. I was like, who is this? I don't know. Let me look up their record, and you can't find it. Just find it by the way of how they interact with the community. And so, Alexis, you touched on something where the judges, the district attorney races, all that Supreme Court. We have 2 black women.
That's right.
Going for the Supreme Court now. And that is what we got to keep them in check for Michigan Supreme Court. All that matters, because trust me, if we didn't have the Supreme Court last time, that 1931 law drafted for abortion was there, it would have been in place. And we see what's going on in other states that we're lucky. We are fortunate we're not like states in Ohio or Texas, especially in Texas. And so all this matters. All of it matters. Not one or the other. All of it matters. Every year matters. And we could talk about what's going on next year for the mayor of Detroit and the city council too. But that is something that we are, as an organization, organizers, we definitely want to let people know. Every year is election year. Every year is important. Every year matters. Pay attention. The devil's always in the details. Look at it, read, and really reach out to the people. And also, elected officials, remember, they work for you.
Absolutely.
And we tend to forget that. They work for you. They don't work for no secret side. That one secret side only got one vote. The community has many. And when the community's fed up with you, guess what? No matter what that secret society does, you gone.
Absolutely.
And so we have to remember that.
Absolutely.
And you know, it's so interesting because you did bring up about the judges, Alexis, and there's a big push from the U.S. to try and increase the number of Supreme Court justices from 9 to 13. And whoever the president is in 2025, that starts his or her term in 2025, that's going to be something that's going to be pushed. And then just like you both were saying, if you control both the House and the Senate, that's going to make it a lot easier for that person that's the president to be able to get that passed.
Absolutely. Right now we have, whoever becomes the president, right? And we know it's going to be Madam Vice President Harris, right? That's what we're pushing. But I think they're going in the door with 2 picks from what I, understand, right? They're going in the door with 2 Supreme Court picks. And I do think that, I really think that it's time for us to expand the Supreme Court to 13. Right now we have a very unbalanced court. So again, this is why the presidency is so important, this particular race, and us having a candidate or a president who's going to lead this nation. Because if we continue down the path of the current Supreme Court, I'm not sure about what our future looks like as women. I'm not sure what our future looks like as African Americans. Or any nationality, to be completely honest. And so again, this is why it's so important for us to really move a president or put a president in place who represents all of America's values, not just a small portion of America and their ideas. Judges, again, school boards, millages, all of those things are some of your most important things on the ballot. Even here in Michigan, our Supreme Court is very important as well. It's so much that we could talk about when it comes to, the Supreme Court, right, and decisions that are coming out of the Supreme Court right now. And I believe in women's right to choose. Now, my own personal beliefs are my own personal beliefs, and I choose not to share them right now. But as far as for the nation, for the country, right, what I may believe personally does not represent, right, what choices that other women may need to make for their lives, right? You don't know that this mother may have 4 children already. And, it just ended up being a pregnancy that was just not a planned pregnancy. And it may put a financial strain even further on the family. So again, as a woman, you should have that right to go out and say, as hard of a decision as that, I can't even imagine, but you know what I mean, as decision that may be, but is this what's best for our family at this time and at this moment? And who are you as a judge or a
Right.
Supreme Court or legislators to make that decision for me by a vote, right?
That with the contraceptives with this current Supreme Court,
Mm-hmm.
our Supreme Courts are supposed to be nonpartisan.
Mm-hmm.
What we saw in the last year and a half, 2 years, are partisan judges. That's why we're for the expansion of the Supreme Court. Also, Biden is talking about putting in judicial rules for the Supreme Court that they can't be compromised. Obviously, when you have judges, Clarence Thomas, Alito, them taking extravagant trips, even to going to other nations, talking to other leadership on extravagant trips. You know, Clarence Thompson went to Russia, talked to Vladimir Putin. And so that's scary times. So that you'll know they're bought and paid for other nations.
Absolutely.
And so they're supposed to be a part of American interests. So you're talking about something where it's very dangerous. That means we have a corporation Supreme Court functioning as an illusion of a court for the people, for the Constitution. And the expansion of the Supreme Court also on judicial rules will change that.
Absolutely.
And it will definitely change it. And this is nothing new. The Supreme Court used to be a panel of 3 that went to 7. They expanded to 9. They do this every time. It's in the Constitution. It gets expanded. And so we definitely talking about those judges that are important there, but also also understanding that there's also term limits on judges now they're looking at, which I always believe, because I don't believe a judge should be there for
All of their life.
all their lives and down the seat and then somebody else in their belief system. No, you have a certain amount of time. Then somebody else can get on the bench that can just, because you may have knowledge of things, but you have your personal biases also too.
Absolutely.
And then I think that's very important that we definitely understand that some of those judges don't see a changing nation. They want to go back to the past.
So
And-
is that what I'm hearing, Norman? Are you saying that you believe that there should be term limits for the
Yeah,
Supreme
I actually
Court?
do. I know I'm looking for the Supreme Court. I used to didn't believe that. I do believe that now, because what happens is that, again, you're on the seat for 40 or 50 years. And I also believe there should be television scenes and the television screens so we can see the Supreme Court, because they just allow people to hear the Supreme Court. They used to have to write it down in the report. Now, I believe with television, Supreme Court justices will act differently. People will hold that more accountable. People can see what's going on. Like, wait a minute, he did what? Oh, no, what's going on? And the delay in decisions, especially if the president, this Supreme Court said the former president is king. Now, mind you, if Biden decides to go in and say, okay, that's cool, I'll do an investigation of my opponent, I'll come and investigate you, trust and believe someone will issue a reform to the Supreme Court, they'll look at it and vote the other way, which doesn't make sense on certain issues where women don't have body autonomy for reproductive freedom, but a gun does. And so we're living in dangerous times, and the people got to understand the power of the Supreme Court. Right now, next year, they're looking at gay rights bills and also interracial relationship bills and who's a man and woman. Next thing you know, about state rights, there's going to be a bill that going to come about slavery. I know what the Supreme Court is about, and it's strictly about corporations. So this is dangerous times, but the momentum is there. That I think people see this now, and that people are driving the notion of, hey, we got to have term limits, justice reform on the Supreme Court level, and also, we've got to expand the Supreme Court. So, and I'm happy that if he feels that way, I know my sister feels that way also.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, and then that's the other thing, that when you talk about the term limits, I'll ask a question of you before we go to our break, is that do you think then that the members of Congress should be term limited?
I definitely think this should be in the Senate. Reason why, because they get 6 years instead of 4. I do, because we have senators who've been there for a while. I know some senators are retiring, some senators, but like I'm thinking about the senator from Kentucky, Mitch McConnell. He's finally turned it up, but he's almost 85, 86 years old. I'm thinking about the senator from Chuck Grassley, who's, I want to say he's in his 90s, and he's still going on for another term. And so my issue is that if we're forcing Biden out as the United States president for 4 years, he can't do the job. But the senator who's 91 and 93 years old, he can do another 6 years. And those senators are on intel committees. They're making leadership decisions and all that stuff like that. I question that too.
Yeah, that
you don't put somebody out who's a president. Well, wait a minute. So you've been there for a long time also.
Right. Well, we're about to take another break, and when we come back, I definitely want to address the issues when it comes down to people understanding there is early voting, and that's going to start tomorrow. So you are watching Truth to Power with Norman Clement, Alexis Ramsey, and I am your host, Darwin Griffin. So stay tuned. We're going to delve deeper into the early voting and those that have already cast their ballot through the absentee ballot voting.
Wayne County Community College District. Whether you want to be in healthcare, computer science, the culinary arts, digital media, or robotics and automation for the next generation of vehicles, WCCCD has you covered. A full range of programs to achieve your goals, fit your schedule, and give you all the support you need to be successful. All of it tuition free. Now there's something to feel good about. Register today at wcccd.edu.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. If you're living in a home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, the probate process can be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
Justice for Mario Willis. Truth. Facts. Evidence. Mattered. Log into justiceformariowillis.com. Read for yourself.
WGPR Detroit HD2.
You're watching WHPS, Highland Park, Detroit.
And welcome back to Truth to Power. And I've got two special individuals with me today, and that is Miss Alexis Ramsey and also Mr. Norman Clement. But Alexis, before we went to break, I had asked Norman that question as it pertained to about the Congress and term limits for them. What's your take on that?
Term limits are needed, period. I think that as we move forward in the country, ideas change, the country moves forward. And I think when you have someone that's been sitting there for 50, 60 years, they just continue with those same traditional ideas of their generation. They're not able to progress or move forward when it comes to thinking, right, about what's happening now in our country. Good luck on Grassley, right? Being able to understand, really, truly. And I'm not knocking it because, well, let me back up. Because, Darwin, you and I had this conversation when it comes to ageism. I'm totally against it. Right. Because where do we get our wisdom from, right? We get our wisdom from our grandparents. We get our wisdom, from our seasoned, right? Our seasoned loved ones, right? Or people that we interact with. So let me just say that first, that I have nothing but respect, right, for our seniors and people as they are aging. Right. But what I'm saying is when it comes to dealing with and coming up with laws and things that will guide me in my future, right?
Right.
In the young people future that comes after me, I think that term limits are needed in order for us to continue to progress as a country. Again, good luck on Grassley or someone like that trying to figure out what AI, right? Coming up with legislation on stopping AI and the new technologies that are happening. So, yes, am I for term limits? Yes. Am I for term limits? Now, maybe, like you said, not as much for Congress, but definitely for Senate. Let's start somewhere. And then maybe, as Congress moves on, like you said, every 10 years we get, we redraw the lines for the census and that type of thing. So, in Congress, that seat can flip easily. But once you become a senator, you're pretty much there. You're a household name. Everyone knows you. And we all know the science behind elections, right?
Right.
A name that you know, right?
And
The name you know.
Yeah.
So,
and Alexis, you said something that showed like I said, Grassley, we're not pushing people out. I know those who serve there, they serve a purpose there. They understand the true meaning of the Constitution. They understand how the rules work, and there's education in that. The flip side is that the younger generations know their role, know their right, also want to see themselves in those positions also. And so what happens is that it becomes a waiting game. A waiting game of, okay, I'm gonna wait my turn, and their turn may never come. And so we end up using our greatest talent out there, the other spectrums of the realm, where their heart is still into the political arena to help the people.
absolutely.
Also, we see this lack of grasp on the AI and also the Facebook social media side.
Exactly.
And that's where some of our legislatures are. Well, they're no surprise. Facebook has a lobbying group. X, I don't know, Twitter, whatever it is now. They have a lobby. Those guys
Absolutely.
have Fortune 5 lobbyist groups. So if the older generation who is in power doesn't understand how to tweet or whatever, or emails or anything like that, they're used to an old way they're working, then the nefariousness, the misinformation, the stuff that can harm you, the attacks on your computer, we're flat-footed. We're after the fact of what happened. Right now, I think they're going to be on Capitol Hill soon with the software glitch with CrowdStrike.
Absolutely.
Which is interesting for Microsoft, because that goes into voting, is that Microsoft, a week and a half earlier, eliminated their DEI portion of the corporation. That means the diversity, equity, inclusion. That means people who worked on the job that include black engineers, tech, science people into the process at Microsoft. They eliminated that department. So they probably eliminated some jobs and some of those who do the job to upload the system properly. And so we just saw what happened.
I mean, one line of code.
One line of code. That person who used to do it may be African American, maybe Indian American, maybe Mexican American. They lost their job. And so after that, one line of code that does the code, they had to do a software update. The person in charge may not know. But when you have the racism and you have this, we don't want these DEI programs, understand that folks get those jobs not because they're the color of their skin, but they're talented. And we want to make sure they add those people in. And so you had the whole nation shut down because of what? Racism. Racism will always, no matter what, destroy progress. And that's what we're talking about, progress. And you see that every day. So when it happened, I said, oh, they let go of the folks that do the job. Not surprised. So they're on Capitol Hill. And that question's going to come up. Trust me, it's going to come up and say,
what happened? What happened? But but just talking about term limits, right? Back to the Senate. Like you said, it's a 6-year term. 4 terms is, I think, more than enough. That gives you 24 years. Right. That gives you 24 years to do the job. But I also think that we need to start preparing people as well, and young people, for these jobs, right? And for these positions as elected officials. Because again, you don't want someone to go in a Senate seat who has absolutely no clue of what they're doing or have any idea about government. So I think when we're looking at candidates, we need to ensure that the candidate has some type of political experience. I don't care if you were just a precinct delegate, an activist, you get where, like, whatever it is, but you have to understand just tell, if you're able just to tell me the branches of government, you know what I mean? Like, you have candidates running right now who can't even tell you, you know, your branches of government,
yeah.
right? They can't tell you how a bill actually moves. They get out here and they make all these promises. Oh, when I get to Washington, D.C., or when I get to, you know, the state house or whatever, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. No, I'm sorry, you're not. That's not how that rolls.
Right.
You are a first term, whatever it is, right? First year, first term.
Right.
They're not even listening to you. And we have some senators right now who have been in office for over 30 years, right? 30 years,
Right.
who may have only moved or sponsored 2 bills their entire career.
Right.
So I want people to really understand that when you have candidates standing in front of you and they're telling you what they're going to do for you in their first term, first year, they're lying. They can't get anything done. They don't even talk to you. Like let's just.
You're a freshman senator.
You're a freshman senator. You sit on very small committees. Even when you're on the committee, your voice is not heard. It takes you to get through that first 6 years to even get the lay of the land of what Washington, D.C., that animal looks like.
Right.
Or even if you decide to go up to Lansing, right, and it's local, right, and you're in the state house, it takes you. That's why I'm happy that they expanded, right, the seats for state representatives, right? This is a 4-year seat now. We're not looking at a 2-year seat because it takes you 2 years just to figure out how to make a phone call out the office.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm just using that as an example.
Right.
Right. But so you need to make sure that we have people that are experienced. We need to start ensuring that whoever you're working with, that you are training the young person behind you to come in to hopefully continue either the messaging that you have coming, of course, with their new ideas. But please, please, people, make sure you choose somebody that has some type of political experience, some type of experience in government, some type of governmental background. I don't care if they went and they work for a mayor, or they may have worked for a state rep. They have some type of government experience.
They know how the sausage is made. They know the process.
There you go. They have an idea of what they're doing.
Absolutely.
Period.
Absolutely.
So.
You know, the thing that's so interesting, would you believe that these two, Norman and Alexis, just met for the first time today?
Oh yeah, we vibing.
You know, it's like you would think that they have been knowing each other for years, as
Yeah.
opposed to just meeting just today.
Yeah.
Right.
But the one thing that I wanted to touch base back on is the fact that here, tomorrow, is early voting. And a lot of people don't understand the concept about early voting. They knew about the absentee ballot voting, but some people get that a little confused, because I know with myself and some of the things I do with APRI, the Detroit Down River Branch, we go to the clerk's offices. We let the clerks know that we're trying to help them, you know, by providing a seamless delivery of the services that they provide in their communities.
That's
But
a hard
people-
task by itself.
It is.
Right.
But people think in terms of, say, that early voting is the same as absentee ballot voting.
No.
Norman,
No.
kind of.
So the law was changed 2 years ago. 2018, Promote the Vote changed certain laws to expand voting rights. And then in 2022, we had a ballot initiative that increased the voting rights. So number one, this time early voting is early voting. Your vote counts on that day. And so it's the difference is that in Michigan, we didn't find out who the president, the governor, sometimes the mayor until like 4 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
And so that's a long time to stay up. But it also is a long time for those who volunteer their time as to be a challenger or a poll watcher to sit and watch and figure out what's going on. It's different in Michigan. Right now, once you vote early, your vote is getting counted. Right then and there, real time, is getting counted. Just like in Florida, where in Florida they'll release the first wave of people that vote in person, then all of a sudden you see all people that voted early come in. And they'll flip a little bit type of way, but you won't be able to, you'll see it in real time. And so by 11:30, 12 o'clock, you already know who won.
Absolutely.
And so that's what it is in Michigan. So you can take advantage of that, because normally you have to go to different polling locations and go all over the city. You may be working. I can't get there. Not this time. Any early voting station is an early voting station. What's your address? Okay, we print out, here's your ballot. There you go, vote. It counts in real time.
It's just like going to the polls,
Go-
right?
going to
So,
the polls.
I think that's
And it's
that's
not-
right.
and
What
it's-
people need to understand
understand.
is that early voting is just like you going to vote on August 6th,
Yep.
right? So you just go in, You take your ID, you get your ballot, you're going to actually put it into the counting machine,
Right.
and it will tabulate at that time, and we're moving forward, right? And so I think that that's the major part,
Mhm.
right? The difference between absentee and voting early.
And then the thing about it is that you have 11 ways to vote now in Michigan. You have early absentee ballot voting, you drop it off the drop box, put it in the mail. You have 9 days of early voting. Then you got election day.
And you can vote on the weekend.
And you vote on the weekend
And you
too.
can vote on the weekend.
And
So
so-
this is not a Monday through Friday thing.
Yeah.
This is 9 straight
Days.
days, right?
Mhm.
Including weekends, right?
Right.
You know, call it calendars, whatever you want to call it. The whole, including weekends that you can go depending on your city. Because here in Highland Park, for instance, we can only early vote at our clerk's office, right? Because we're a small town, right?
Right,
We're
right.
2.9 square miles. So
Right. It's under 9,000. I think it's under 9,000 square miles of like so many people district that you
Mhm.
get like an early voting. But go ahead.
yeah, I'm just saying. So I'm in agreement with you. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah. So just like some people have one spot, Detroit has about 13 or 9. I think it's 19 spots. They're doing early voting. And also remember, guys, let's change the images of voting. Voting is going to be different this year. There's going to be party at the polls. People are going to be celebrating. People are going to be outside. It's nice weather. We should start treating voting as a party day. I wish it was a
think you should
holiday.
have
It should be a
day
holiday.
off. There you go. It
Yeah,
should be
day
a
off.
day off, yes.
But like other countries, they do it on Saturday. But we do it on our day and stuff like that. Cool. But guess what? I honestly believe that we have to go in the mindset, oh, we about to party there, we about to vote, we about to have a good time, encourage everybody to vote, and make it a fun atmosphere. Make people go to the polls, say, I voted, you voted, okay, cool, have a party about it. Celebrate that you're expanding your rights.
Absolutely.
And so that's the thing we have to change as people is our mindset to say, hey, oh, I got election day, oh man, I gotta go. No, election day, okay, cool. Let me go ahead and vote this sucker out, vote this one person in.
There you
And
go.
go ahead and celebrate
right,
that.
we the people, right?
We the people, I say, hey, let's go
Yes.
ahead and celebrate that. And so I know some of the organizations definitely gonna be at some parties at the polls. They don't have balloons. Some people be serving food there. And I think in November with Miss Harris on the ticket, man, it's gonna be a club atmosphere at the polls. It's gonna be celebration.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hopefully those lines, right? That we
Yeah.
had back in 2008, right? That surge,
That's
right?
it, right.
Of excitement, for not only this being the first woman candidate, but a woman of color,
Right.
right, to represent
and
us as a country. And I also feel like hopefully, it will white women, right, bringing that white woman. Middle class, upper class vote, right? And then we got, she's AKA, so the sisters are definitely
the
going to
sisters
show
are
up,
coming out.
show up and show out.
Yeah,
right?
I think the sisters
Yeah,
are coming out,
yeah.
and then also on that, we can remind folks too. You didn't back a woman in 2016. You saw what happened. 4 years later, we was all inside, and you had rights then that you don't have rights now. And so looking at that, Trump got 45, 50. It was 54% of white women vote that first time. The second time it went down to 47. I'm challenging white women. He should not get 20%, over 25% of your vote.
Yeah, your rights have definitely were diluted, right,
Yeah.
under that particular administration.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah,
Mama
it's-
say if you don't have nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all. So
Right,
I'm gonna
right.
hold
So,
that thought.
yeah.
Well, the thing that's so interesting with this whole thing is that the excuses that people had before about getting out to vote are eliminated
Right.
because now the clerk's offices have allowed people to get out and do the early voting. And the early voting, as you both were saying, is 9 days, starting on the 27th, and goes all the way up to the Monday before the election day. So it gives the clerk's offices time to prepare, for the big day coming up on August the 6th. But it gives people an opportunity to go and cast their ballot early
Right.
instead of having to wait and go through the long lines. We hope that may be from people that want to get out and vote, on election day.
Or
But
or it might not be long lines because people already early voted.
There you go.
And talking about souls to the polls,
Mhm.
talking about celebrations and stuff
Absolutely.
like that. So that's what that can happen also too.
I mean, they have a big event, actually, excuse me, Norman, coming up on August 3rd. I forgot the name. I think it's Mother Justice and,
Yeah.
and some other people that are doing it. And what they're going to actually do is, I don't quote me on this. I forget the starting point, but I'll give that information. I'm sorry when we come back on after break. But what the concept is this: on August 3rd at noon, they're going to have a meeting location, and they're going to try to get as many people as possible to take their absentee ballot, and they're going to walk it to the Detroit clerk's office, right?
Nice.
You get what I'm saying? So and these are all young people, right?
Mhm.
Who's doing this, right? That's that Gen Z, millennial, right? And maybe even some Gen X, right? Because
Right.
Gen X is kind of,
The-
kind of right on that cusp,
Right,
right?
right.
So again, like you said, it's going to be parties. People are trying something new, innovative, right?
Mhm.
When it comes to getting people out and getting involved in this voting process, and understanding our rights that our forefathers and our grandfathers and our grandmothers fought for, right?
Mhm.
We at one time we didn't have this option, not only as African Americans but as women. So if nothing else, as a woman, right?
Yeah.
Whether you're black, white,
Mhm.
whatever, you did not have the opportunity to even go to the ballot and fill out a ballot, right?
Right.
So for us to even be able to do that at this point, we need to exercise our right.
Yeah.
Point blank, period.
Right. Especially with 2016 when everybody was mad that he voted.
Mhm.
And at that time, because before I started my organization, when I saw that, I went to DC earlier with Reverend Sharpton, and We Shall Not Be Moved, and talked to the late, great, the Black Eagle.
Mhm.
And he was telling me, what you going to do about it?
Yeah, Joe Madison.
Joe Madison. And we did something about it. And what got me upset during that time is I see all these women around the world marching because they mad at Trump. Where were you on election day?
Mhm.
And so I tell people all the time, let's not repeat that same bit. I need that same energy on election day.
Mhm.
And then also we got to give a shout out to Hester Williams and our Secretary
Hester
Secretary
Hester
Wheeler.
Wheeler. Mhm.
And sorry, Hester. And
Jocelyn
Jocelyn Benson. They actually, when this was going on, they actually advocated to legislature to put more money into the clerk's hands,
Mhm.
so they expanded people to get access to vote, that early voting.
Absolutely.
They also able to have clerks hire youth workers to come and work on those days
Mhm.
with our seniors out there doing that.
Absolutely.
And Hester has pulled every information out of the stop. He's gone everywhere. He talked to you in pizza shops. He'll talk to you. Hester's been everywhere spreading the message on early voting, and
Mhm.
also spreading the message there. This happens to what happens how folks in our community have a hard time in voting, and so having the Secretary of State to be a little bit more creative
Mhm.
on creating avenues to early voting.
Absolutely.
And so I got to give a shout out to Hester Williams. Love you, brother.
I know
You've
you
been
want to keep saying
William.
Wheeler.
I know you're gonna be mad.
Hester will probably put out a Facebook post saying, all right, it's Wheeler, not Williams.
He don't cuss me out when I see him, but still, I got to shout out to Hester for keep doing the work he's doing.
Absolutely, absolutely, and our secretary has been doing a great job,
Oh,
you know,
yes,
as
yes,
well.
yes.
So I think at this point, we as a people, right, it's time for us to unite together in this country. But I will say this: that is, in order to galvanize the people,
Mhm.
the Harris campaign will have to put dollars into Michigan, right? You have to invest in the people who are from Michigan. Because I'll say what happened with the Hillary campaign, right?
Yeah,
The
yeah,
Clinton campaign was that we didn't have people running at the top of the campaign that were from this state. You decided to bring in all of these outsiders who have no clue of how Michigan operates when it comes to politics, right?
Absolutely.
We are every state is a different animal.
But
Michigan is a whole different animal here. So again, what's critical is that the Democratic Party hires locally from different areas throughout this state, but they need that one hired locally, and the campaign must put offices here. They must put dollars into this community and you must go to the hood. Call it what it is, right? Not the neighborhood or the hood, whatever you want to call it. You have to come into our
Alexis.
area. You need to go on Mac and Bewick because Trump, That's where they go. They over there on Mack and Bewick. They go down here on Woodward and Claremont, right? But instead, we decide, oh no, we're going to go over to Eastern Market. That's not our demographic. You're not going to get people to come out. Some people can't afford to pay $20 to park to come and see you at a rally or having it downtown. You get where I'm coming?
Oh,
you
yeah.
need to start. I believe that the Harris campaign across this country has to create and start going to those small communities, something like a Highland Park, a Pontiac, a Inkster, a Ecorse, a Muskegon. You get where I'm coming? Like you have to, you could do your big cities, your Grand Rapids, your Detroit, but even let's talk about going up north, right? Let's start talking about going up to Alpena and going up, to Mackinac and St. Agnes and, in that area and Traverse City and those areas. You have to start putting money into those small communities if you want people to show up and hire locally.
And
period.
I think they will. I think they are. It's happening now. It wasn't now. It wasn't. I didn't see it before. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah.
I think leadership was also changed on the campaign trail on that aspect.
Yes.
Of it. And so that's like you're saying, organizing your target area.
Yes.
If I want to go get, if I know that near Osborne they only vote at 10%, but I need them to give them the 35 to win, I will go in that area. Let me hire some local organizers, hire them in, bring them in, and do door to door, spread the message around there, organizing your target area. The best person that did it was two people. Late Mayor Marion Barry, because people couldn't figure out how he kept getting winning in D.C.
Absolutely.
And also on the flip side, Michael Steele on the Republican side, organizer for the Republican Party. He's still a Republican. He's more moderate, but same thing on NBC.
Steele is amazing.
Still one of the best organizers today. That can tell you study Michael Steele, how he's organized, how he works at. Same thing, and they organize in their target area.
Absolutely.
But you both brought up some valid points. One of the main things that you said, especially Alexis, what you just said, was that you've got to go and get the local. You've got to go to the black stations, the black media stations, the black media when it comes to the newspapers. They need to contact Maxine Willis, the station manager over at WHPR, and let her know that they would like to go and help to promote the Harris, whoever the VP person is, campaign. Because we are trying to do everything we can to get Harris elected.
Right.
We want Vice President Harris to get her platform out to people. And what better place to do that at than Watkins Broadcasting here in Highland Park, a small city that could allow the word to get out, just like what we would,
small city but big reach, right?
But big reach,
right? When you start talking about streaming and all the different platforms that this station, right, that the station offers. So yeah, you may be a small station in a small town, but the reach is to millions, right?
And Alexis, you touched on that sub point that we're on platforms like Roku. Roku
Absolutely.
is something, and everybody doesn't have Apple TV. Everybody doesn't have these streams, but now these TVs have what? I know one app that everybody has.
Roku. That's right.
And that's where the people reach that they don't have the money to spend $100 on streaming.
Absolutely.
I only got $25 to my name for streaming service, but I'm gonna stream on Roku because guess what? I got the ACP, which is another federal program from the Biden-Harris administration, to get my internet straightened up. And so I can stream the breast on Roku. I can download from my TV. And so people miss that, understanding that this local station is going out and we're people in the community. We're not pundits or no figure. We actually target, organize millions of people and stuff like that. We have credible backgrounds. And so when you see that you get people here, she could come here. Like the sister came from Truth to Power from Biden administration. Who just got the job. But she spends so much facts on what they were doing. I said, wait a minute, I forgot about that. I'm pretty good though.
What are we talking about, Roe?
No, we're not talking about Roe. We're talking about far as she came with the Biden Harris administration, the young sister, a media investigation came on there. She had all these facts about his administration. I said, dog, I didn't know that.
Absolutely.
And so, but she came because she knew it was important that these local stations understand have thousands of reaches to everybody else. I think that Harris I know they're going to do the same thing because a lot of stuff has kept continuing going on. I want so if you're running for elected office, statewide or wherever, that don't miss out. This is where the people are. The people are not at those big stations. They're not listening to big radio and everything because everybody's on streaming, podcast service,
Absolutely.
everything. And so you definitely know that.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
Go
hold
ahead.
that thought.
Yes.
Because we need to take a commercial break.
Okay.
But when we come back, we'll get to your thought, Alexis,
Okay.
and we'll wrap up in our last closing half hour. So again, you've been watching Truth to Power with my special guest today, Norman Clement, Alexis Ramsey, and I'm your host, Darwin Griffin. So stay tuned. We've got a last 30 minutes of power-packed information to disseminate out to you.
Feel good about your future with tuition-free programs at Wayne County Community College District. Whether you want to be in healthcare, computer science, the culinary arts, digital media, or robotics and automation for the next generation of vehicles, WCCCD has you covered. A full range of programs to achieve your goals, fit your schedule, and give you all the support you need to be successful. All of it tuition-free. Now there's something to feel good about. Register today at wcccd.edu.
Have you ever wanted your own TV show? Have you dreamed of showcasing your talent for the world to see? Well, now you can. Have your own TV show. You can have your own 30-minute show. Not only will you be seen in the Detroit area, but you can be viewed worldwide. For more information, call 313-868-6612. Visit our studios and receive a free TV interview to promote your business, church, or organization by appointment only.
Taking a trip in the next 12 months? Airlines are under tremendous pressure and they're practically giving away their unsold seats. Like every crisis, this one will end too. But right now is the best time to take advantage of giveaway ticket prices on their unsold seats. We're not allowed to publish these low fares online. The only way to get these rock bottom giveaway prices is to call. So phone Low Cost Airlines now for airline ticket prices you may never see again.
Watch WHPR and TV 33 when you want, where you want, how you want. WHPR is now in your pocket. Download our free app by going to the App Store or Google Play and enter WHPR TV in the search engine. And there we are. You can download WHPR TV or radio. You heard about it. Now come be a part of it. Roku Detroit Worldwide. Approximately 8 million viewers.
And we want to thank you for continuing to view and to be a part of the conversation on Truth to Power today with my special guests, Alexis Ramsey and Norman Clement. But this last half an hour that we want to spend with you is pretty much to talk about a couple of things too. We've talked about the importance of this election. We've talked about why people need to get out and vote. As both of my guests indicated, you need to make certain that you look at the ballot thoroughly, both sides of the ballot, and be able to fill the ballot out properly, because as Norman mentioned, you don't want to have any of the ballots thrown out because they weren't completed properly. And the other thing too is that if you need to get a sample ballot, you can go to your clerk's office and you can ask for a sample ballot so you can go and you can practice at home how to complete and how to fill the ballots out. There are some organizations that also have opportunities to where they're having campaigns where they're showing people how to complete a ballot. And right now, with everything going on, where you can go into YouTube and look up just about anything, including how to properly complete or fill out a ballot. But as you both alluded to, it's important to make certain that you understand everything and every person that's on the ballot that needs your support. And not just to stop even in the general election at the top of the ticket, but all the way to the reverse side where you may have, like you were saying, school board candidates, judges. There could be referendums. There could be other issues that could
Millages.
be on the ballot, millage campaigns. So the thing is that, and realize too, ballots are different depending on the community that you are voting in. Because under the auspices of the Honorable Mayor Glenda McDonald here in the Highland Park area, as well as under the auspices of the Honorable Mayor Mike Duggan in Detroit, there's differences when it comes down to like school board candidates, when it comes down to people that are running for, let's say, the state reps that represent
Your
Highland
district.
Park or your district versus like the 9 state reps that represent in the Detroit area. So there's a lot of differences, but what we tell people to do more than anything else is that if you look at your candidates that are looking for your support, research them. Go on to Google or find out information. Alexis, as you know, with all of the work that you do with a lot of candidates as well as elected officials, you know how to do the research. You know how some of the streaming platforms that you could go on if you want to find out about how a elected official voted or what they supported or what they did not support. And normally the same thing with the work that you do, knowing in terms of say about what's going on, especially when it came down to the redistricting and how that played an important part with the Detroit Change Initiative, which you represent. And so that's the key thing that we want to make certain that people understand, 1, about the ballot, 2, about how they should get an opportunity to vote and support candidates or issues that are important to them, just like how, Alexis, you and I were on the initiative when it came down to Proposal R and Proposal S, to make certain in terms of say about reparations. And then also people understand too about this ballot initiative to make certain that people could do early voting, as well as understanding too about the ballot and knowing that felons can vote in terms of say, depending on the specifics, in terms of say about understanding. We've talked about this before on Truth to Power about
how you're in the county and you can vote.
Exactly.
If you're,
You know,
haven't been charged yet.
and if you haven't, as you were saying, if you haven't been charged,
Well, basically.
so the thing is just like understanding, because there's a lot of misinformation that people are trying to put out. And if it wasn't that important for people to get out and vote, why are they doing so much and spending so much money trying to dissuade people from voting? And that's the thing that we want to pretty much like talk about and dispel some of the myths that people have when it comes to voting. And, we know that there's a lot of money that's been spent trying to get people not to vote. We know that there needs to be people coming in and voting in record numbers. Alexis, you alluded to in our previous half hour about parties that people could give to encourage voters to get out and vote. Your vote is your voice. And that's why it's so important that every voice is heard. But the key thing that I'm thinking, and I just want to get your take on this too, is that from this election, you've got excitement on the ballot this go round. You've got people that had the same kind of excitement they had when they were thinking they were getting ready to make history back when President Obama was running. And they wanted, that was historic. And then when you saw that great, big, pretty much like celebration there in Chicago, and everybody was out there, tens of thousands of people were there at Hyde Park, I would like to see hopefully the same thing happen with this election result. So that people will be out in Central Parks, in Hart Plaza, Hyde Park, or some of the other parks in their, in their communities, because history can be made. And something that myself and my fellow Black Brickmasters said on a thread that we had the other day, it's not history that could be made. It's herstory could be made. So HERSTORY.
Her story.
Her story, as opposed to being his story.
Right.
And that's where the difference comes in at. And people need to realize her story could be made come November the 5th. Your thoughts?
I think that's one of the points that I'm seeing right now in the community about her story and her messaging and what she has to say. Because so many times, just so many times, people didn't know what the vice president is to do. And so this misinformation, the misogyny, well, she don't do nothing. Well, she serves at the pleasure of the president. And this time, as we see right now, that she's more than capable of doing this job. She might have been doing this job behind the scenes.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Right.
We may have not seen her because guess what? So many women in corporate America do 2 jobs or 3 jobs. Keep the company open. Let's talk about it. How many women are undervalued, underpaid,
and all about it.
All that. Let's
Appreciate
it, and gotta go home and make a meal and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
So understand, my wife is in that spaces also, and so this is a moment where we could actually have another her story, but also finally changing of what America is supposed to be, what America really looks like.
And you know something too, that there's a lot of history or herstory that could be made. Because just as you both were saying, there's a possibility of looking at a vice presidential candidate. And we can't take Governor Whitmer off the
No, you can't.
being considerated. You know, even though she said that she didn't want to run for president, but there's still a lot of people that are really trying to encourage her to be on this ticket as the vice president. So, you know, we can't discount that. And that would be historical right there, where we had people that were saying, are we ready for a female president? Now here you may get a female president and a female vice president on this ticket. And then the other part of the historical value with that would be, this is an African American president. So there's a lot of history that could be made, you know, with that. And then it's the same thing, just like today, people, you know, we were hoping that we would have had a debate here with a candidate who could have been the first African American male to represent the state of Michigan as a senator in Washington, D.C. So there's a lot of history that could be, you know, it could have been enacted, you know, because of this. And that's what we need to really kind of look at. How do we also go and make history along with those individuals? You know, it's unfortunate, again, that there wasn't a debate today between those two candidates. As I indicated earlier, we will have more details about that next Friday. So President R.J. Watkins will address that. So if you want to get more details about what happened and why it didn't happen, please tune in next Friday, 10 o'clock, for Truth to Power, and President Watkins will address that more in detail, because that was a missed opportunity for not just the candidates, but for the people to have gotten an opportunity to hear what the candidates felt about different issues. Myself, Bishop Van were the two moderators, and there was a lot of things that some other working parts to this that President Watkins will address next week as to why some things did not manifest. But the station wanted to address the issues that people had as it pertained to making certain that this debate could manifest. And it just was unfortunate that all the
it's just, you know, even though we know that President Watkins will address it, let's not put it on all, right? Let's just keep it down one path. and there was an issue with one candidate, not both. And I'll say it. We know we'll go more into detail. President Watkins will go more into detail next week, right, regarding how all of this transpired. But understand that, again, there was one candidate who created what we have going on today.
And also, Alexis, I really feel sad for the people.
I do as well.
I was looking forward. Like before this, I'm about to sneak in my question and see if Darwin would take my,
Right?
I had planned, promoted.
Mhm.
Folks were listening to it. People
Absolutely.
were
I
tuning
got so
in.
many calls.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then when
So
they
did
did,
I.
and so when and this the momentum was happening.
Absolutely.
This it was great. I said, we got this, we got the debate coming up.
Mhm.
Oh man, I'm gonna be so busy and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And people actually had watch parties set up.
Yes,
We had
they did.
meetings
Sure did.
Yes,
that I'm
they
going
did.
to right now. Community members after say
Mhm.
what happened, and
Mhm.
so again, the president RJ was going to address it,
Mhm.
but I'm thinking about understand that everyone doesn't have a 246 in the neighborhoods of Mesquina, or I'm thinking about Traverse City, or those outside area where cherry farmers or Latino community is out there.
But you know what they do have?
They have Roku,
They got Roku.
and so
Right,
they got Roku
they have Google Play,
Yep.
right, where you can download the app,
Yep.
right? So there's a multitude
too of
of opportunities that would have been available
I'm-
for the candidates to show up and explain to us their platform, what they're about, and why you want our vote.
And I'm thinking about organizations, Kathy Harris out there, Grand Rapids, a black community. I'm
Absolutely.
thinking about the brother up there,
Patsy.
Patsy
Mhm.
Percy
Yep.
up there in Flint.
Hmm.
I'm thinking about so many communities that been calling me all week long, like
Fired up and ready to go. Mhm.
I'm ready to go and see this. And this is again just a missed opportunity that this is history making. This is the first time Michigan has an open seat for 20 something years. Honorable Stabenow, she came and she stepped down. I know I talked to her very much. She said, hey, it's time to pass the torch.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so on that level, it would be so dynamic that the people wanted to hear from these candidates because
Yes.
they hear a little bit, they see signs,
Mhm.
and it was a great exposure for these folks that are poor, are local, are middle class, that have Roku.
Even upper class,
Upper
right?
class have Roku.
Right
I
now,
mean-
you could have been in the hospital,
Right.
waiting on your doctor to, for a doctor's appointment. Everybody every TV because I just got my father out the hospital.
Mhm.
His TV was a Roku TV, right? So that's all I'm
Right.
saying is that you would have been able to touch so many people. But again, I want the focus to be clear that it was one candidate, one.
Well, and see, that's the thing, because just like you were saying, there were watch parties that were planned.
Mhm.
There were people. I have a friend of mine, this chiropractor, that was telling all of his patients
Absolutely.
to tune
Mhm.
in and
Mhm.
watch.
Mhm.
And regardless of whether or not if you were able to watch live
Mhm.
at 10 o'clock, you still could have listened to the audio stream as well as been able to watch it at a later time. If you had to work, you couldn't
Mhm.
listen to or watch it live.
And
Mhm.
Darwin, what's tomorrow?
Early
Saturday.
voting.
Early voting.
Early voting
across the state.
across the
And
state.
so many people were waiting for this debate
Mhm.
To make their
The
decision.
decision.
Mhm.
Exactly.
and make their decision. And this is where, again, like I said, sometimes think, oh, you outkick your coverage.
Mhm.
Sometimes
I think people should go.
Mhm.
If the people that chose
To
not to
to
show up, they're not going to show up for you when it's time to represent you. They're not going to show. This is my personal opinion, not no affiliation with the station or anything. It's my opinion
Mhm.
that if you can't show up now, what makes me think you'll show up for me when you're asking for my vote, but when I call you or call your office, right? If you were to get there, if you can't show up for this, then that means you're not going to show up for me when it's time and critical for that vote, right? So for me, it speaks volumes of who you are as a person and your character. And I think that honestly, people should, right now until President Watkins addresses it next week, the few articles and things like that, definitely take a look at the stations. press release, right, surrounding what happened with this, but also remember the candidate that was willing to show up and the candidate who wasn't. And when you go to the early vote tomorrow, remember the candidate who was willing to show up and talk to you.
Well, the biggest thing that I see is that again, we have to thank the station.
Yeah,
absolutely.
We have to thank President Watkins for trying to get this debate in place.
Not get it, had it in place. This debate was in place for over a month.
And the heavy lifting
Right.
that Mr. Watkins,
Absolutely.
we advocated, we lobbied, folks talk behind scenes. There's so many moving parts with the debate.
Exactly.
And so the
Exactly.
debate just doesn't happen. And just think about it. There's so many moving parts. And
Ms. Willis,
all
Ms.
this
Tyler, it's
yes,
a team effort here, right?
And it's
Tim, our engineer,
Tim, yes.
all that
there's
stuff
so
like
many
that.
different people that
Absolutely.
were involved in this process.
And I even think the National Party wanted this debate. Also, understand the DNC, from all points of light, everybody was looking at this debate as what to. This was it. This was
the final one, right? This was the final push, right?
Because
for
early vote 9 days starts tomorrow. This is 9 days. This is it. This is like showtime, go time. And so just like again, I'm thinking about far as if the Lions and the Saints, the Lions and Kansas City in the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl already said you're matching up, and you're gonna say, "Wait a minute, I don't know about some things."
Yeah,
it's the Super Bowl. We're not as big as the platform, but I'm gonna say we're giant as the platform because guess what? The National Party reached out to us to talk to people. Other parties reached out to us to talk to the people. And so, because they understand streaming, they understand the ACP, where folks in outer communities, not just in Detroit. I'm thinking about Inkster, downriver. I'm thinking about all those folks who are on the other side of the state. I'm thinking about
going up.
Let's
go up, right?
Benton Harbor, all over the place.
Yeah.
Muskegon, other parts of the state. I'm thinking about the reservations, Indian reservations.
Absolutely.
That have Roku. So they understand the dynamics, the
Yes.
optics. They understand what's going on with the how the people are moving. The largest community that is moving with Black people is Macomb County.
That's right.
I'm thinking about all up in there to get access to see this station. Because guess what? They were hitting our Twitter line. They were hitting our line on Facebook. They were hitting our messaging and say, "Hey, tune in."
Think about Alpena, right?
Right.
Way up there, right?
Yeah.
Those people, yeah.
Well, and the thing is, in the few minutes that we have left, again, this was an opportunity that could have been a very valued opportunity for both parties to be able to participate in, as well as for the people to be able to see. A station, a Black-owned station here in Highland Park, owned by R.J. Watkins.
With mega reach, let's keep
with a mega reach.
Yes, let's
Whereas
keep saying
people
that.
may think in terms of say that because it was it's a small station, it may not compare with some of the other stations, but they were making every concession to make this happen. So we wanted to make certain that we let people know that we were going to do everything we could to let both candidates put their best foot forward. We weren't partial. We weren't trying to push any particular candidate.
Absolutely.
President Watkins wanted to give the people
create something that was fair and balanced
and equitable, for both sides to be able to see. He also wanted to make certain too that there were all these other measures when it came down to security, because sometimes you have situations. Everybody knows what happened with President Trump and what happened in terms of that. So they were making every kind of concession to make this happen. So whatever you hear, and I'm saying this to the public, in terms of say about who didn't, who did, but the thing is that President Watkins Broadcasting, WHPR, they wanted to stream it through 107.5.
It was going to be streamed.
Right.
Yes.
This is all the integral parts that were in place to get this done. So what we want to do is to let people know and let the public know in the future, if there are ever any other candidate forums, debates, town hall meetings, Watkins Broadcasting is there for you.
Absolutely.
You can contact Miss Maxine Willis, and she can go, and she's the station manager, and she can make that happen.
Absolutely.
And the other thing too is that we also are asking people if you want to invest in the station, because you see the great value that the station provides you when it comes down to advertising, when it comes down to sponsoring shows. Please don't hesitate to do that, because that's how stations operate.
Absolutely.
And we know that this was an opportunity, a platform that could have generated hundreds, if not thousands of people to realize they can vote tomorrow if they haven't made their decisions yet. And their decisions could be more of an empirical decision as opposed to the hearsay from other people.
Yeah, I just
that were
say do
saying
your
that.
research, right? Like
And
I
do your
said, do
research.
your research until President Watkins comes on next
Yeah.
week and kind of, you know, like I said, gets out here and really puts it out here on exactly everything that happened. But again, there are press releases. There has been a statement made again by the station.
Yep.
Read those statements, make your decision, and remember when you go to the ballot box tomorrow, after reading those particular documents or articles possibly in the newspaper, again, remember who is going to show up for you, and remember that you need to support people who are willing to show up for you and not run scared at the last minute.
And also, this here, it always starts small. The essence of the people are always small. Big news doesn't come in until the outburst or the information comes from folks on the ground. Your grind, your people to the ears to the streets. Truth to power. That's what it is.
Truth to power. There
The
you
truth
go.
doesn't come. The truth is not blown out from the mountain high. No, it starts from one seed right here. Your grassroots, your grassroots, your
That's
grassy
who wins
organizations.
elections.
It's not your big organizations. It's not these big outfits. It's your mom and part, nonpartisan 501c grassroots organizations that mobilize and energize the people on the ground that talk to their folks every single day as trusted messengers.
There you go.
As trusted messengers.
We all know, real quick, Jarvis, real quick, the best form of publicity is what? Word of mouth.
Yes, ma'am.
And the word of mouth comes from the person that's your neighbor, your local precinct delegate, and that's the person who gets the message out. So if you don't understand that grassroots is the heart of any campaign, then you shouldn't be running in the first place.
Well, in the few minutes that we have left, I just want to give each of you an opportunity to make some closing remarks before we conclude Truth to Power today. And I'll start with you, Norman.
Yeah, again, like I'm real disappointed for the people that didn't get the information. But the work still got to continue. So August 3rd, unfortunately, we had a warrant clinic. It's full. We had prepared to do over 2,500 people. Registration's closed. It's full. So I'm encouraging folks out there, we're going to have another warrant clinic in the distant future. But there's still going to be fun games and organizations that will be able to help out if you meet a temporary need. Partner with R on Wall Street, Black Votes Matter, Oakland Forward, and then NCBCP. We're definitely going to be out there having fun, so we ask people to come out, and then also encourage them to early vote. August 4th, we're going to be partnering with the Sisters Down at Floods and getting people to get GOTV, get out to vote, volunteer, mobilize, and keep this thing going on, and then working on creating synergy of really holding elected officials accountable, but also, making voting fun. And so that's where our plan for August 3rd and 4th. And the work continues. We're going to still be grinding, and I'll be on the show next week, listen to the show, and we'll go from there.
Good. Alexis?
Okay, just really quick. For me, I just want to thank the station again for taking their time, the effort over this. It wasn't just a month. That's when promotion started. But over these last 4 or 5 months, really trying to put together a platform and a debate between two people that will ultimately be the senator for our great state. So again, I just want to tell the station and everyone who was involved in the planning process, thank you for the hard work and dedication that you put in. Again, I will back what you said. Let's get out here to vote starting tomorrow. 9 days early voting starts tomorrow. Our clerk here, Madam Clerk Green, has been doing a great job on promoting here in the city of Highland Park. I am urging all Highland Park residents, let's get our numbers up. We vote at an average of about 5 or 6, 7%. I would like to see at least 15% in the primary. So let's get up and let's show our clerk that we support her and her efforts and what she's doing in order for us to get this election going. And always remember that grassroots is where it starts, and that's the heart of everything. And lastly, in this game of politics, I want people to always understand there's no permanent friends, no permanent enemies, it's only common interests. And it's time for us to start focusing on our common interests as a country together and unite behind a candidate who's going to move our vision forward.
Amen.
Well, I guess on that note, I want to thank Alexis Ramsey, Norman Clement for being on Truth to Power today. I want to thank R.J. Watkins and the Watkins Broadcasting, as well as thank Tim,
Yes.
Maxine Willis, Henry Tyler, and everyone else that has put this show together. Again, stay tuned next Friday because you will get an important message from President Watkins regarding about the debate that was scheduled today. Have a great rest of this afternoon.